guys later and learn your name. So, I was thinking last night, there's not one person here that wasn't me at one point. When I started in this business, I was doing construction, I was homeless, I made enough money to buy a car, and then I lived in my car, and then I got into the welding pump industry. The one thing that I've recently learned, but kind of always knew, is I thought I could. I thought I could. Because we have tremendous opportunity here. And it's really what any of you make it. This is a really hard business climate right now. The issues that all of you face in your personal lives with, you know, I went into the Urban the other day to get a chicken salad sandwich and it was $8. Well, when I left here last fall, it was $3. I mean, that is the craziest thing I've ever seen. And we don't want to get into the political aspect of that, but it was predictable. Yeah. But anyways, regardless of that, I started thinking, you know, what separates mechanics? What makes one guy that he can sell something to everybody that he sees and another guy never does? And what it is the questions that you ask yourself when you get there. Recognizing opportunities. It's the biggest thing in this industry. For those of you that know nothing, learn, pay attention. For those of you that know something, teach the ones that know nothing. Because this is a trade that no matter where you go in this country, or the world for that matter, you're going to take it with you. We do electrical, we do plumbing, we do things, we deal with people. It's not easy dealing with people, particularly management, right? So anyways, we're trying to make it easy to work with management. But what holds us back is what we believe. And this is something, I'm gonna be 64 in a few weeks, kind of always knew, but never realized. It's the questions that I ask myself. This woman over here has taught me that. It's huge, it's huge. You know, we grow up and people say, you can be anything or do anything you want. Well, you can if you believe you can, but if you don't think you can, you never will. All right, so it's the questions that we ask ourselves when we go into a job. It's the questions that we ask ourselves to recognize the opportunities that we have. And it's the questions that you ask yourself to recognize the opportunities that this company can provide for you. I have seen such tremendous growth in some of the people here over the last year, couple of years. That means more to me than any amount of money that we could ever make, believe me. Because I know that that growth will help them make money. But you gotta want it. And hard work will never hurt anybody. And you gotta work hard in this industry. It's just the only thing that gets you ahead. So that being said, if you can just remember that message and I can give that to you, then you're probably about 40 years ahead of me. And I really just want to say I appreciate you all so much. I couldn't even express it.
Welcome home. All right, so now Tony's gonna come up. Does everybody have your phones on mute? Let's do a double check on that, right?
Mine are both my butt, so I'm good.
Yeah, you can have this. No, it's fine. Awesome. Got your notebook. Yeah. It's fantastic. Awesome.
Chat for just a second.
Yes, great. Everyone?
You guys look way better in person, I'll tell you that much. Hi, nice to see you all. If you could just go around the room and just tell me your names really quickly.
I'm Evan.
Evan. Okay, nice to see you here, Evan.
I'm Nate.
Nate? I know. Okay, go ahead.
Rob.
Rob.
Hey, Rob. David.
Ryan. Jared.
I'm Mike.
Blake. Drew.
Alex.
Justin.
Justin, okay. And I know you guys in the back. And nice to meet you as well. Kathy, yep, I remember. I'm Toni. I love what Henry said. I'm gonna start off a little bit differently than I normally do. Just because of his story, I find so inspiring. I've been doing this for 32 years. This is all I've ever done. This is all I've ever known. For me, I grew up incredibly poor. Like poor. We were poor. If my mom brought a pizza home, I remember saying to her, like, oh my God, we made it. I mean, she brought a pizza home and I was like, we made it. Like, we're rich for this. It was this huge deal. When I was 12 years old, I heard I was woken up at like 1 a.m. by my mother just crying. I just heard her crying in the other bedroom. And I got out of bed and I literally was about to go in the bedroom when I heard her on the phone talking to my grandmother. I don't know how I'm gonna do it. How am I gonna pull this off? How am I gonna buy them Christmas presents? All of these questions. And I stopped myself from going in because I thought, well, it's gonna make her worse to see that now her daughter is hearing her having like a meltdown. Truly, this is what happened. So I was awake and I went down the steps. I don't know if you guys remember this, but I like pulled open the TV. Remember when you have to like pull it out? And I like pulled out the TV and I sat there and a man named Toni Robbins. Does anybody know who Toni Robbins is, by the way?
Was it Reading Rainbow?
That would be Mr. Rogers.
I was close.
Okay, well, Toni Robbins is known as a motivational speaker, but he's sort of a mindset philosopher. He coined the phrase like life coach. But I pulled it open and it was an infomercial. Remember infomercials? And here was this guy. He's 6'7". He's got giant syndrome, so he's like just huge, not just tall. And he was on TV saying, if you do all of these things, you can change your life. And I was 12, and I took my like little notebook out, and I literally, my mom still has it, was writing notes. And I was up till 4 a.m, and I handed my mom the next morning for breakfast a note to Santa. It was December. And she has the note framed, and it's like, Dear Santa, please scratch everything I asked for, and all I want is these tapes called Personal Power. And don't worry, you can pay in 3 installments of $7. I have this whole thing written out, and I handed it to my mom, and I said, please, you've got to get this to Santa. You've got to do it. You've got to do it. She was like, whatever. She just came off a night of like, crying and miserable. Well, Santa delivered that year. And I just under the tree was this booklet, and it was just cassettes. I don't know if you guys remember that. It was just one side. And I ran upstairs and I wrote a second note, which my mom has framed. It says, Dear Santa, this is how poor we were. Thank you so much. Next year, can you please send me a cassette player? I mean, I didn't even have anything to play it on. And if you send me this cassette player, I swear to God, I will donate these cassettes to the library. Well, on January 5th, it was my mom's birthday, she came home with a beat up old Fisher-Price. You guys are so much younger than me, okay? Fisher-Price used tape player, cassette player. And I just couldn't believe it. And I ran upstairs, and for 62 days, I transcribed 72 hours of hand wrote what Toni Robbins was saying on his 12 cassettes. I still have the notebooks. And I took the cassettes to the library and I donated them. And then I memorized all of the hours of the cassette tapes. And I swore to God that I was going to change my mom's life and pay off her mortgage so that she never had to cry again. And on my 14th birthday, Toni Robbins, this guy, this figment, I was like up all night trying to find him again on infomercials, He was coming to the Atlantic City Convention Center, which is about an hour, 15 minutes from where I live in Philadelphia. And I begged my mom for my 14th birthday to get me a ticket. He was there for 3 days. And she did, but we couldn't afford to sleep there. So she would drive me, sit there for 12 hours, drive me home, drive me back the next day. Now they roped you into those things. He didn't come till day 3. So I sat, and everybody was selling me real estate and all that stuff, And so we found out he was coming the next day, and he was really popular in the 80s. Swarms of people in the parking lot for him to show up, and he did. He showed up in this limousine, and he got out, and everybody had their autograph book and their, portable cameras, they're taking pictures. And I just stood there. I was 14, so I stood out anyway. And I went up to him, and he was 6, and I said, "Mr. Robbins." He said, "Yeah?" And I said, "How do I be you?" Exactly what I said. How do I be, not become, how do I be you? And he looked at me, and he's like, "What?" I'm like, "I know I can. I know I can." And he said, "Walk with me." And he's huge, guys, he's huge, okay? And he sort of put his hand on my thing, and he's like, "Who are you?" And I'm like, "Oh, my name's Toni. Really, it's Toni. I'm not trying to be some psycho." And I said, I have all your tapes memorized. I know everything from start to finish. And I said, I do believe I can deliver the message a little bit better than you. You're a little harsh. I said, and I said this and that. And I said, but I know everything, and I've done everything. I practice everything, and I did that. I wasn't out drinking. I was out studying mindset materials. And he was just sort of looked at me, and he's like, "Okay, come up here." And he sat me in the front row, seats just like this. And I was listening to him, and about 4 hours in, he spoke for 12 hours. He said, "Where's Toni?" And I'm like, "Well, you put me here. Like, what do you're doing like a scene?" And I was like this, and he said, "Come up here." And he brought me on stage. It was 1,800 people, and he had the microphone sort of that went behind your ear. It was very new then. You never saw those. And he took the microphone out, and he put it on me, and he said, "You think you could do this?" I said, "I know I can." He said, "Okay, you have 45 minutes. Teach these people about the 6 human needs," which was one of his cassette tapes. Remember, I told him I'd memorized everything. And I was like, "What?" And he's like, you want to be me? Kind of cocky, I was like, "Yeah, sure." And he put this on me, and he just looked at me, and he said, "Speak slowly. You speak too fast." I said, "Okay." And he turned me around, and I said, "Well, you got to start somewhere." And everybody laughed, and they thought it was cute because I was 14, and I spoke for 90 minutes, way better than Toni did. and everybody cheered and clapped, and he sat where I was sitting, and he was just like this, and I had everything memorized to the T, standing ovation. Afterwards, he was like, I want you to be a coach for me. And I said, "Of course you do," right? and by 17, I had made my first $1 million. I paid off my mom's mortgage. I was speaking around the country. By 19, Jim Rohn, a very philosopher, said, if somebody hands you $1 million, best you become a millionaire. At 17, I claimed bankruptcy. I lost it all because I didn't develop the mindset, right? I made it and I lost it hard. And then I made it again and I lost it hard. Fortunately, I made it again. I've held on to it. But my point is, everything Toni Robbins, when he tells the story, said, it was the question, how do I be you? That got me. Everybody wanted an autograph. I didn't give a shit about an autograph. I wanted to get my mom out of debt, which I did. And so he taught me something very important. I want you to know something. I've never had a unique thought in my life. Nothing I share with anybody is mine. I've never invented any of this. But I took it and I ran with it. I ran with it. I want to teach you, we've talked a lot about the 3 S's. Do you guys remember the 3 S's? Strategy at the bottom, the story you tell yourself, which is what Henry was saying was that belief system. We're going to talk about that today. And then the state. Just, if you remember that, say I. Okay. That's really important. But I want to teach you how your brain works. And I love being in person here. So if this is our brain, I'm not an artist, okay? We have stages. It's like a ladder. The first thing we do is what we focus on. That just means like what we think about on a daily basis, okay? And what we focus on, we turn into the meaning that we give it. This is so important. This is where our belief system lives, right here. And when we give something meaning and we develop a belief around it, that's when we develop an emotion or a feeling. I don't have nice handwriting, by the way, can you go? An emotion or a feeling. That's where it lives. And then from emotion, that's action. That's what we do or what we don't do. Do we show up for these meetings? Do we not? Do we do our best at work? Do we not? If somebody thinks this is a bunch of bullshit right now, you're focusing on how this is bullshit. What it means to you is it's a waste of time. Your emotion, you're sitting right now really frustrated, and your action is just to roll your eyes at me and not take notes. And that happens in a nanosecond. But if you're like, all right, she's not so bad. She came from nothing. She figured it out. I got it. Maybe I could. That means there's hope. I'm feeling a little focused. Now I'm going to pay attention. It happens so fast. So fast. And I want you to really ask yourself this. When people want to change something in their life, do you know what they're really looking to change? Does that just call it out if you have a guess?
Appearance?
Sometimes.
Quality.
Sometimes. What's that?
Quality.
Quality.
The way you think.
The way you think. Do you know why people want to change their appearance or change the quality or change how they think? Do you know why?
To better themselves.
Yeah. And if it betters yourselves, what happens if you better yourself?
You're happier.
What's your name?
Jared.
Jared. Okay. When you're happier, you've changed how you felt. People want change in their life because they really want to change a feeling. They want to change how they feel on a daily basis. Anytime we want to change something, it's to change how we feel. If we change our appearance, I did not enjoy the process of putting makeup on today. I don't look great. You should see me without makeup. I didn't enjoy it. It wasn't an enjoyable process to be like, okay. But it makes me think that I'm going to feel better or look better or be more attractive. It's going to change my feeling if I put makeup on. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So anytime we look to change, we're looking to change a feeling. People want more money, not because they want rectangular pieces of paper in their pocket. They think that more money will bring them more freedom, more fun, maybe the opportunity to help other people, which feels good. It's always about changing a feeling. So that comes here. But look, that's 3 stages down. Okay? We start as a human race here. We think emotion comes first. It does not. But our focus, what Henry was saying, what we think about, we can't do. Our brain literally can't do it without a question. Tell me anytime you thought about something that didn't start with a question. You're asking yourself right now, is there a time that I thought about something that didn't, when you're asking yourself a question right now. You are. You can't produce a thought. Henry, when he was living out of his car, or whatever the story is, was like, how the hell am I going to figure this out? That's what, how am I going to do it? How? Most people say, why is this happening to me? Why can't I catch a break? Why am I the one that has to do it? All that, I hate that shit, okay? So, he said, what do I need to do to be you? Henry just stood here and said, not one of you wasn't me. Okay, if you want this, go to Henry and say, how do I be you? And then, there comes our 3 S's. When Toni Robbins looked at me and thought, okay, she's not crazy. I mean, crazy, but, he sat me down and he goes, don't worry about my strategy. You already have that. You memorized my work. And I'm giving you permission to use it. So it wasn't plagiarizing and stuff. And he said, do you guys remember this one? Story. What are you telling yourself? Well, I was cocky. I told myself I could do it. And then it was state, my attitude, right? Did I feel good? I got so cocky that I lost $1 million. My state wasn't very good. It was not good. That's not a good state, okay? Strategy, important, least important. Your story predicts your state. My story at first was what? I want to help my mom. What was my question? My question was, how can I make it so I never hear my mother cry again? That was my question. And by the grace of God, I turned on the TV, and instead of watching Garfield, Toni Robbins was on. And I took it seriously. I didn't sit at the TV and roll my eyes and check out. I checked in, okay? But my state at the time was really fun. Adding value to another person, my mom. But then, because I was a kid and I was an idiot, my story became, I'm hot shit. I'm going around the world, I'm going around touring with this guy, people are looking for my autograph, and this is great. And my state became what? Arrogant. I forgot what my real focus was. And the universe said, okay. And I went bankrupt. That was really not fun. Okay. I wasn't even a legal adult and I was filing bankruptcy. Okay, not fun. So, how do we create a thought? How do we start a thought?
Ask a question.
The questions we ask ourselves, right. So, on a daily basis, what kind of questions do you think people ask themselves?
Why am I
Spit
doing
it out. What's that?
Why am I doing this?
Why?
What's the goal?
Why am I doing this? What else?
Why am I here?
Why am I here? Yeah. What else?
How can I?
How can I what?
Anything.
Anything. Okay. What else?
Where am I going from here?
Love that. Who said that?
There we go.
You again? Okay. Uh-oh. Where am I going from here? Yeah. What else?
What
How
else
can I
do you-
make this happen?
Say it again.
How can I make this happen?
Good. Uh-huh.
What could go wrong here?
What could go right here?
Cookie.
Okay. So these are starting to get a little bit more positive, which is probably a bunch of crap. Okay. Because most people aren't really evaluating the positive. Most people start with, how come? How come I can't find the love of my life? How come I can't be a millionaire? How come I'm always asked to do something? How come is the most commonly asked internal question for people that we call the language of the poor. It means they have a poor mindset. People don't fail in life because they have poor working habits. They fail because they have poor thinking habits. Do you believe that?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. Do you know that some of the most successful people in the world came from nothing? They weren't from the Lucky Sperm Club.
Mm.
The people with the Lucky Sperm Club are mostly taking out rehabs right now. Did you know that?
I mean, look at athletes in general.
Good athletes in general, right? Okay? That's the
Yeah.
language of the poor. So when we ask a negative question, a lousy question, how do you think you're going to feel?
Lousy.
Lousy.
Lousy. How do you think you do on a daily basis if you feel lousy?
Lousy.
Not very good. Right, lousy. You don't do well when you don't feel well. Do you remember I said that to you the very first time I ever spoke to you? Most people in life don't do well because they don't feel well, and we don't feel well because of how we think. It's really what it comes down to. Because our brain is designed to do two things. Do you remember the two things? Do you guys remember pain versus pleasure? Our life is designed to take us out of pain and closer to pleasure. Let me ask you all, and just show of hands. If I took a thing of gasoline and I threw it on all of your bodies and lit a match, would you like that?
No.
No. So that would be pain, right? What if I said, okay, I'm going to light your whole bodies on fire, call it a day, or you can each line up, and I'm just going to put a little bit of gasoline on your hand and light that on fire. Which do you prefer, the hand or body?
Hand.
Of course.
I've done that 1,000 times.
For fun.
Now, do you think lighting your hand on fire is a pleasurable thing to do?
No.
So when I say pain versus pleasure, people always think pleasure is like rainbows and butterflies. Pleasure is just less painful than the alternative. Okay? Lighting your hand on fire is still painful, but it's less painful than your whole body. So your brain will always default to what's pleasurable in the moment. People make decisions that feel good in the moment, but come with long-term side effects, versus making decisions that aren't so easy in the moment, that comes with long-term consequence. Okay? So, I mean, if it's not easy, it comes with long-term benefits. If it is easy, long-term consequence. So, if a kid has an essay to write, maybe some of you, do any of you have children? Okay. So when your child has a paper to write or has to do homework or whatever age they are, do you think that they'd rather sit and write their paper or binge watch TikTok?
Binge watch.
Because it's much more pleasurable in the moment, right? Until all of a sudden that kid, let's say they're in high school or something, they have to write the papers due the next day. And if they don't hand the paper in, they're going to fail the class. Now all of a sudden, not writing that paper is way more painful than TikTok. Now they're up till 4 o'clock in the morning writing the paper. And people think that that's procrastination. It's not procrastination. It's not laziness. It's just their system of thinking. So when I work with kids, I say, Isn't it more pleasurable to get the paper done and then have all week to play versus being on TikTok and having it hang over you? That's not very pleasurable. So now the kids that I start working with get their homework done right away. Now they have the whole weekend to not worry versus having it hanging over them, and now it's Sunday, they're all stressed because they have to get their work done. It's all about changing pain versus pleasure, which starts with a what?
Stop.
A question. Does this make sense?
How many of those
Yeah.
questions do you think have to do with fear?
Say that again?
I said, how do you think how do you think fear
All of
is involved? Right, is involved.
100% of them.
Yeah.
That's a great question. Oh.
Fear.
That's a great question. Hank's question got us to what? Think. Right. We wouldn't have been able to think if Hank didn't ask that question. So, how many questions are related to fear? How many?
All
Lousy ones, all of them. Because what do people fear the most?
Failure.
Yeah.
Yes! Why do they feel failure the most?
So I don't want people to think badly about them.
Number one. Number two.
They want me to mess up.
They fear, when people say
Not
they
being
fear
good enough.
success, they fear that they can't sustain it.
Right.
And then that fall from grace is so, it was so easy to make $1 million. It was so hard to lose it. And to say to my family, hey, I really effed up. I messed up. I took the Snickers bar, not the apple, every day. Mom, I messed up. I'm broke. That was a lot harder to say that than to make $1 million. Does that make sense?
Mm.
Really hard. Because what did I ask myself? How could I be such a screw up? And then I thought about all my failures. And now I gave it meaning, that it means that I'm a big loser. And now my actions became nothing. And then I sat and cried for a year, feeling sorry for myself and blaming my family for not teaching me how to manage money when I got in business because they didn't have any money. So how can somebody teach me something that they don't know? It's like, you want me to teach you how, I don't know how to dig a hole. I mean, I can figure it out, but like, I'm not gonna do well if you put me in a truck, okay? I'm not gonna do well. Because I don't have the strategy. Now I may have the mindset and I can show up at the customer's house and make them really happy, but they're not gonna give me a check because I don't know the strategy. It's all relevant, okay? Fear is huge. So we've got the question, which goes to the thought, and here's what Henry was talking about. Then it goes to the meaning. Do you know what does that mean to you? The meaning when I say that.
Why?
Why? Yep. Do you think that we give positive or negative meaning to things?
Everything.
Generally negative.
Generally negative. I had a situation years ago where I was married and I'm gay. So the woman I was married to, she ran her own business. And she came home late one day for dinner. Like, I cooked this big dinner. And she was like an hour and a half late. So now I teach this stuff. And I was asking myself, how could she? What could be more important than me? Why did I slave all day to make this 7-course dinner and she's not even here? Okay. And then I thought about all the reasons that I'm better than her, really. And when she came home, whoo, when she walked through that door, it meant to me I wasn't a priority. I wasn't important. You couldn't even take a minute to text me. It meant that I was not a priority. And when she walked in the door, she didn't stand a chance. Except for the truth of it was that she was in a car accident. She didn't get a ride home from a tow truck. I saw the tow truck. I didn't give a shit. Okay. But she was cheating on me with the tow truck. I was like, who's this guy? You know what? Right? And her phone got completely smashed. You should have seen it in the car accident. What an asshole I was. Yeah. Yeah. Right? I never did that again.
But you had dinner for her.
Yeah. I think I threw it away at that point. Not even
Oh, okay,
kidding.
never
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah, I was like, can you order
Gotta save
pizza? I'll
yourself.
get it. Yeah. Okay, so the meaning. So let's talk about meaning. So most of the meaning we give it is fear-based. If I try, it means I might fail. That's what we said. If I try, what if I try? That's the question. What if I make a decision and it's the wrong decision? That's what we're afraid to do. That's why people don't make decisions. What if I make a decision on the job and I get back here and it's the wrong decision? Is Hank gonna be upset? Is Henry gonna be upset? Is Perla gonna, who's gonna be upset with me? So people fear making decisions because they fear making the right decision, so they make no decision at all, which is also a decision. And then people stay stuck. Do you understand? That's why company culture is so important, so that people have the freedom to make decisions and mess up. Because who makes the right decision all the time?
Nobody.
Zero. So you've got to be in an environment where you can mess up. I mean, listen, not on purpose. Where you can mess up and say, I messed up. And then be taught how to do it differently, or better, or more efficient, or more effective, or whatever. But if people don't feel safe in that space, and they base everything they do off of fear, you're not going anywhere. Then you've created a habit in your brain that says, don't do it. Now it's happening here at Eppingwell, then it happens in your relationship, then it happens in your health, then it happens in your finances, because that system of thinking becomes habitual. We start asking fear-based questions and give it fear meaning. And what do? We say, you know what? I'm always gonna be this guy, this girl. I'm always gonna be the drinker. I'm always gonna be the smoker. I'm always gonna be, middle management. I'm always gonna be this. And then when we make a decision, I'm always gonna be, that's how we develop what Henry was saying, our belief system. When did you identify with who you are right now? Likely when you were a child. I'm always going to be the one with anxiety. I'm always going to be the one that, how many people say, well, you know what, I just can't do it. Well, then you know what, you're better than me. You know what, well, you do it better than me. You know what, well, guess what, I screwed up. I know, I'm a big screw up. I screw everything up, right? Then we say things like that, don't we? Don't, I have. We do. We do. And that's how we develop what Henry said, our belief system. But our belief system comes from the questions we ask ourselves. Who's ever heard of the show The Biggest Loser? Yeah? Do you guys all know what that show is? Do you?
Yeah.
You didn't raise your hand. I'll ask again. How many know what the show The Biggest Loser is? Do you?
Nope.
Okay. It's a show where they he was like, I know.
Good thing you
Yeah. Okay. It was a show where they took contestants that had like 150 to 200 pounds or more to lose. And they put them on this ranch and they trained them and they this, and whoever lost the most amount of weight won $250,000, called The Biggest Loser. And they had two teams. A team where it was a female trainer, her name was Jillian Michaels, and a team where there was a male trainer, his name was Bob Harper. They didn't really do anything, they were just the face of the show, but they looked like the trainers on the show. I worked on the show for 6 seasons, behind the scenes. They had therapists, psychiatrists, nutritionists, all lined up. And I had the privilege of being one of the coaches on the red team. The red team was Jillian Michaels' team. We won for 6 seasons. The 6 seasons I was there. I'm not saying anything, but we won for 6 seasons.
Results, right?
Yeah.
Speak for themselves.
And so the producers used to say to me, because I was the coach for the team, I don't see you working out with them. And I'm like, well, I'm not a trainer. What are you doing with these people? And I said, I just taught them to ask better questions. And they were like, excuse me? And I was like, yeah, just asking better questions. And they looked at me like I was crazy, like Toni Robbins did. I had each of them stand in front of a mirror when I first got to the ranch. And they always had to walk around with no clothes. So they would stand in front of the mirror with a sports bra and little shorts. And I'd say, okay, what do you see? And they'd be like, oh, just go seeing fat slob. It was always something like that. Their words, not mine. And I said, okay, well, what are you asking yourself? And they'd be like, what? I'd be like, no, when you look in the mirror, what are you asking yourself? And it took easily, with each person, a half an hour for them to comprehend. I'm like, no, just stop. Look in the mirror and ask yourself something. And inevitably, they'd all say something like, why am I so fat? Why is this happening to me? Why can't I be the skinny one? It was always something like that. And I said, okay, well, answer it. I'll never forget the one girl, Jay, because she won that year. She said, why am I so fat? And I said, why? She says, I'm a disgusting, lazy pig that can't follow through on anything. I'll never forget it. And I said, okay, so how do you act every day? She said, like it's that disgusting, lazy pig that doesn't follow through anything. And I said, okay, it makes sense. That's why you're so fat. So then, like, done, right? So she was 407 pounds when I met her. And she had 16 weeks to be, I know, yeah, these weren't little people. And so she had 16 weeks on the ranch, maybe, because every week somebody got voted off. If you like lost the least amount of weight, you got voted off. They would lock them in rooms with food and, you know, tempt them for 12 hours. It was torture.
That's awful.
It was amazing. So I used to sit there and be like, don't do it, you know. And so she had 16 weeks, hopefully. That's how long the show was. So I said to her, okay. She said, well, what are you going to do to me? Question. I was like, nothing. I just want you to, every hour, on the hour, sit in meditation for 2 minutes and ask, what do I need to do right now to get closer to my fitness goals? She was like, what? I'm like, that's all I want you to do. Just every hour on the hour, unless you're sleeping. What do I need to do today to get close, right now, to get closer to my fitness goals? She just sort of looked at me. I did it with every contestant. Just do it. Just do that. And I said, well, answer it right now. What do you need to do right now to get closer to your fitness goals? She said, well, I need to get on the treadmill. I need to replace, you know, my soda with water. And she said a couple basic things. I said, great. Start there. But every day, just keep asking. Now, when she stopped drinking soda after a couple weeks, and it got a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. She walked about 5 minutes, then 10 minutes, and then this. After 16 weeks, she was down to 218 pounds. And that's how she won the show. And she won 250 grand. And now she goes around the world and teach people how to ask better questions. Our life is directly related to the questions we ask ourselves. Period. And the questions, now what happened? She asked a better question. How do I get more fit? Which made her think about ways, which meant to her that it was not so bad. I could just walk a little bit, replace soda with water. So what did it mean? It means it was simple, not easy. Then she felt her feelings became empowered versus disempowered. And then she took action and she won the show. Do you see how the system of thinking works?
And the more she was thinking about these things and seeing the results, the more she was driven to.
It grew. You never told me about this one before. Okay. So then her brain used to associate working out and healthy eating to pain. She couldn't diet. Now all of a sudden, as she was losing weight, she found pleasure in the process. And the brain related the nasty foods to pain and the fitness to pleasure. So then it became easier. She wanted to burn her hand, not her body. So then it changed her entire system of thinking. So then it was just a default. She didn't have to think about it anymore. She didn't have to do, we all start out with willpower. But then if we can change our, do you know how they say it takes 21 days to break a habit?
Yeah.
Willpower only lasts 21 days. At its peak, it usually lasts 11. So we can look at pizza and go, don't eat that pizza, don't eat that pizza, don't eat that pizza, don't eat, for about 11 to 21 days. Day 22, it's going in, okay? Unless, in those 3 weeks, we can change our system of thinking to saying, eating the pizza made me this way, eating the pizza made me this way, and associate it to some sort of pain that the pizza did. Now all of a sudden your brain doesn't want the pizza. That's how people give up like smoking and things. Maybe like you smelled yourself one day and you're like, shit. And then you don't want to smell like that anymore, and now you've been smoking for 20 years and you're just like, I just stopped. Oh, that's happened to you? Yeah, was it the smell? They say it's the smell. One time, if they're sick or something, they smell themselves and they quit overnight. They've been doing it 10, 20, 30 years. They quit smoking. But if somebody relates pleasure to smoking, their belief system is, I'm a smoker. Well, if you believe you're a smoker, you're not going to quit smoking. If you believe you're a drinker, you're not going to quit drinking. If you believe these things, that's what you're going to do. You are what you believe. You believe by the questions you ask yourself. Am I a smoker? Yes, I am. Do I know smoking's bad for you? Yes, I do. But I'm a smoker. Okay. It's like when people are surprised that when people lie to them, that they're liars. If I said to you I'm a liar, don't be surprised if I lied to you. Don't be like, oh my God, she lied. Well, yeah, I'm a liar. I'm doing what I'm telling you I am. Okay? So everything comes down to a belief system. Do you guys know what? Am I out of time? See, I could go for hours. It's 7:45. Okay. Oh,
Keep going.
am I good?
You're fine.
Okay. So, belief system. Most people, I could be here all day, guys. All day, but I won't. Okay, so belief system, meaning. We have 2 types of beliefs. Do you guys know them? Guess.
Positive, negative, yeah.
Fine, I love that. Positive, negative, true or false. Empowering or limited. Okay, we have limited beliefs or positive beliefs, empowered. In my world, they're called empowered beliefs. Okay? So, what do you think we have more of?
Limited.
Yeah, of course. Can you throw out some limited beliefs that maybe you have or what you think other people have? Just give me 5 or 6 or 10.
I'm not worthy.
Say it again.
I'm not worthy.
Yeah, I'm not worthy.
Not good enough.
Not good enough. I can't.
Too hard.
It's too hard. What else? Does anybody here want to change any aspect of their life? If they do, just raise your hand. Any aspect. Awesome. The only thing holding you back from changing that aspect of your life is your belief around why you can't. Does anybody want to share what they want to change? This isn't a real soft group, so I didn't think that. Does anybody have the courage to share?
Be better than I was yesterday.
Say it again.
Be better than I was yesterday.
That's the aspect that you want to change?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you find that you achieve that?
Yep, every day.
Awesome. Does anybody have a belief, something that they want to change and they're not meeting that goal?
Eating habits.
Okay, great.
Mm.
What do you want to change?
I like it.
Just, what do I want to change?
Like
Just
with your
not, just not always eating out, not always, what's the word? Overindulging.
Yeah,
It's like every
fine.
meal I have to have fucking steak and, you know what I mean? It's
Wait, he just said something. Every meal I have to have fucking steak and something. That is actually a belief system.
Right.
Right.
Like, as funny as that was, he believes, and I don't know if you're like a meat and potatoes guy, that, I don't know, if you don't eat the meat, you're gonna be low on iron. I mean, what do you believe if you don't eat the meat? I know this is like a funny
You're not
example.
gonna be happy eating salad.
You're not gonna be satisfied, you're not gonna,
Right.
what is it?
I don't know.
That's it. If you're not gonna be satisfied.
But as like, listen, belief systems don't have to be so grand. But if he believes that he's gotta eat steak every night, I'm being dramatic,
Yeah.
you know, he's going to eat steak every night. Do you see how simple it is?
Yep.
But that rolls over into everything else. He just identified, like, if I went out to dinner with him, I'd order a steak. I'm like, let's go to a steakhouse. I already know that. Then we get trained on who the people are. I'd be surprised if he ordered the vegetarian lasagna. You know, I'd be like, well, there's no meat in it. It would throw me, right? Limited beliefs can be as simple as how we identify as an eater to how we identify as a human and how worthy we are, how good we are, what we're capable of. That's potential.
Tony,
Yes.
so you say, I just heard something like really unique. So you're saying
It wasn't
we
unique,
learn-
but yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like it just kind of.
I mean,
light bulb in
don't
my
give me
head.
credit.
No,
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
no, like light bulb in my head about we learn how people expect us to treat them by
Yes.
their own thoughts, and then we treat them that way because that's who we expect them to be.
Yes.
All right.
Come on up. Yeah. That's right.
That's
I'm
great.
going to treat you how you teach me to treat you based on your belief. That's right. That's right. If I think you're some big, powerful person, I'm going to treat you like a big, powerful person. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Very true. Very true. That's why state, remember, strategy, story, state, your attitude. How, if I stood up here and I was like, everything we do is based on the questions that we ask ourselves, and like, I really want you guys to like ask good questions. You'd be like, what the hell, right? Maybe you're still doing that, but so yes, great, really good. Everything based on our potential. How worthy are we? How good am I? On a scale of 1 to 10, how much potential do we think we're operating at on a daily basis?
10%.
10?
Let's scale 1.
Oh,
No, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10%, which would be 1. Yeah. So what else?
sorry.
What do you think we're actually operating at?
7.
7? What do you think you're operating at on a daily basis?
Oh, 10.
Oh, 10.
Okay, I don't know.
Dave got some sleep last
On a
night.
daily basis, on a 1 to 10, how much potential do you think that you put out every day?
I would say 4. I'd say solid.
How about you?
8.
Probably 6. 4.
Yeah?
7 or 8.
Uh-huh. 10.
I'd say 5.
Uh-huh.
I'd say about a 6, solid.
Solid 6. Huh?
5.
Uh-huh.
5.
Uh-huh.
4 to 5.
Uh-huh.
5.
Uh-huh.
6.
Uh-huh.
6. 6.
6 is
Marky Mark?
5.
Big empty.
7.
4.
Perla?
8.
Hanky?
7.
I meant Henry. I don't want Okay, I'm a lesbian. Okay, what did you say? 7? 4. Hi, I'm Toni.
Scott.
Nice to meet you. Okay, the reason why I looked at Hank when he said 4 is because the Harvard research did a study, and the world's population typically is at a 4, which means they're operating at 40% of potential, which means they're leaving 60% on the table. And that is a very, I mean, that study was done and put out last month. So that most people are walking around leaving 60% on the table and operating 4 out of 10, of 40% of their ability because of what they think about themselves. And this study was called, What Do You Think About Yourself? So that, if you want to look it up, you probably don't want to look it up, but that's what the study's called. So we are leaving 60% of our potential on the table on a daily basis. That's a lot. So our potential, on average, is 40%. Now, if we only have 40% potential, how much action do you think we're going to take?
40%.
40%. Now, when we think we're putting 100% in, when we think we are, but we're really putting 40%, our results are what?
60 on the table.
Not that great. And because our results aren't that great, so this is an R for results, our belief system gets even stronger that says, see, I told you I couldn't pull this off. Told you I can't give up meat. Told you I can't get the job done. Told you I can't think for myself. And now our potential goes to 38%. Then it goes around again. Now our potential's at 20%. And now 2 years later, we're operating at a 10%. 24 months was the study. If people stay at 40 within 24 months, they're down to 10%. And then they stop. And then they say, well, you know what? I should be grateful for the 10%. People have it worse. I'm all about gratitude. But people hide behind gratitude. And they say, well, it could be worse. It could be worse. And I do believe if you line everybody up in the world and Susie has it worse, you can't bitch unless you're Susie. I do believe that. And you can find gratitude all over the place, but don't hide behind it and say, I'm not doing that bad. If you're working at a 10 to 40%, you're doing that bad. You are. Your life is worth more than leaving 60% on the table. That's a lot. If Henry paid you, would you like, if instead of $1, you just got 40 cents to the dollar? Would everybody here like a pay cut of 60%?
No.
Well, that's not Henry's fault. That's,
Hank's fault? I don't know whose fault that is.
that's the government's fault.
Very
well.
I know.
But you know what I'm saying? Would you want like a pay cut?
Everybody already does that. That's right.
Would you like a pay cut? If you came in and my announcement today was everybody's getting a 60% cut in their salary or hourly wage, how would you feel? Would you walk out?
No, if anything, I'd walk
Yeah.
out
Of
the door.
course you would.
The morale would be-
So you're walking out on your life every day. Every day. You're cheating yourself.
My question would be to you, is how would you like a 60% increase?
Heck yeah.
That'd be great.
I'd walk back in.
So then, if
What's the question?
who here would like a 60% increase on their hourly wage or, okay. Then what I would do if I were you is I'd go up to Henry or Hank or whomever's in charge and say, what do I need to do to get a 60% increase on my salary over the next 18 months? How can I be you? You have to ask. Because Henry stood up here an hour ago and said, I was you. Here's what I've created. I'm willing to teach you and train you and help you and do all of these things with you. Now, you can be very cautious and not take any risk and hide in a corner. Like Jim Rohn says, we will feed you and bathe you and this and we'll do all these things. But how ugly. You've got somebody here that says, come on. So ask. What's his name? Dave?
Yeah.
Dave. Dave said every day he asks, how can I be better than yesterday? Well, ask other people that. Ask other people, hey, I work with you every day. How can I be better than yesterday? Because we have a weird thing in our brain that we think we're operating at 7, 8, 9, 10%, 100%. We're not. We're not. I know. We're not. So start asking questions that will lead you to changing your life, which will change your belief system. Because if all of a sudden you say, oh, I asked, Henry how I can get an increase, and he gave me 1, 2, 3 things to do. And you start doing them, and you start taking action, and Henry starts saying, hey, I noticed you're doing something. Well done. Now your results are there. Now your belief system goes, oh, maybe I can pull this shit off, right? Now your potential's even higher. Now you're taking even more action. And now he's slipping you a little bonus maybe, right? And now your belief system is like, wow, and here we go. And in 18 months to 2 years, you're up in management at Eppingwell. Or whatever area of your life. Do you see? The quality of your life is directly, I always say communication is the direct link to the quality of your life. It starts with how you communicate with yourself, and that communication starts with your questions. So the quality of your life is directly related to the questions you ask yourself. Are you looking in the mirror and saying, why am I so fat? Or are you looking in the mirror and saying, what do I need to do today to get closer to my fitness goals? Because you're doing one or the other. Why am I stuck in this job? What do I need to do to make it? Why am I stuck with this woman I don't love anymore? How do I get the hell out of it? Right? Why am I living paycheck to paycheck? How do I not live paycheck to paycheck? Or how did I lose $1 million? How do I not do that again? Right? So I had to go and study wealth because nobody in my life had wealth. I lost it 3 times before it stuck. 3, okay? 3. Until I gained control of my questions and I sought somebody that was proficient in wealth. I had to learn wealth. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Another thing we do is we forgot to model after people. I went up to Toni Robbins and said, I want to be you. How do I be you? How do I become you? Not, let me reinvent the wheel. If you want a happy relationship, go talk to somebody that's in a happy relationship and ask them how they think. If you want to make more money, go talk to somebody that made a lot more money and ask them how they think. If you want to give up steak, go talk to a vegetarian. If you want something, if you want to change your body, go find somebody that changed their body. If you want to go buy a house, go knock on the door. I did this once. I wanted a house. And I knocked on the door. I did. I was 26 years old. And I said, how did you buy this house? And he looked at me. His name was Sean, Pat and Sean. He's like, excuse me? I said, how did you afford this house? How? Pearl has been to the house. I bought that house at 41. He taught me what he did. She's been at that house. I said, I'm going to live here one day. He said, I hope you do. And he sat with me in his kitchen and told me what he did for work. I was totally uninterested, but I wanted to know how he did it. And at 41, I bought the house.
Did you buy it from him?
Yes, I did.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. But I knocked on the door. But I asked, how did you do it? Now he was born into a rich family. Whatever. But you know, I didn't learn. That's why I said I was uninterested. But I still bought the house. You see what I mean? You've got to go do these things. So, I'm probably,
Yep,
okay, about time. Okay.
wrap it up.
It was so nice to meet you. Thank you. This is so much better in person. But I want you to spend today, when you find something that's not going well for you, if you don't feel right, because the feeling is your body's natural alarm system. If it doesn't feel right, ask yourself, what am I thinking about right now? What does that mean to me? And then say, how do I want to feel really empowered? What do I need to think about to feel that way? And what does that mean to me? It's got to stand with the question. Now I'm going to bring Pearl up, and she's going to talk about how this can relate. No time?
Well, I'm not, because I want them to just think about what you talked about.
Oh, okay.
What questions are you asking yourself, and how can you use what Toni taught us today to support one another? Anybody have any suggestions?
Ask more questions.
Right?
Got it.
I know a lot of you have been working with the same people. Support one another. What questions are you asking? If you see somebody in a not great mood, what's one of the things you can ask them? What questions are you asking yourself?
What's going on?
What's going on? Right? Awesome.
Yeah, that's what we say.
And just really quickly, to shift it a little professionally, when you guys are on the job, just because I work with companies as well, and do you deal with the customers in person? Do you see them? You do? It doesn't hurt to say, is there anything else that you need done? Hey, this is it, and again, I don't know your industry, so just go with me figuratively. Hey, this is what we can do, but if we do this, it'll last you a lot longer. Giving suggestions on, hey, we can fix this for $20, but for $500 we could do this, and that'll stop you from having to pay $20 every month. You see what I mean? Just asking, is there anything going on here? And then here's what I always say, always. Do you know anybody else that needs this work done? And if you do, can you please give them my name? I'm working with my boss really closely. I'm trying to get a 60% increase on my salary.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Bring them into your
You can
dream.
do
huh?
that by selling the $500 thing.
Oh, there's a $5 thing. Oh, so how about that?
I'm gonna
Okay.
say that.
All right. Thank you, guys.
It's actually more like $9 grand to put a sock.
Yeah, duh.
Even if they don't need it.
Nice to meet you.
Go team.
Yeah.
So what we doing?
Yes. Oh, so good to meet you.
I was
Whoa, whoa, whoa.